everybody, CinemaSick this here with this week's weekly review, where we take a look at all the movies I watched throughout the week, and I give you my quick thoughts on them. So let's take a look at everything I watched. The first title I watched this week was The Producers, and this certainly was not my first time seeing this movie. Saw it in the theaters, bought it on release day, and I've watched it a dozen times since. It's such a fantastic film, extremely funny, and has one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. I am constantly listening to this soundtrack in my car. I listen to it at least once a week. It is absolutely fantastic. And this is one of the times I would say the remake has surpassed the original. Not saying the original is not great, it is. It's absolutely 100% fantastic, and I would highly recommend checking out the original if you haven't seen it. But at the same time also, can this movie even be called a remake? Because this movie is based off a play, based off a film. Because you have your original film, they made a play out of it, and then they made this movie based off the play. So it's only kind of a remake. It's, you know, it's more of a movie based on the play than the original movie. And regardless, whatever you want to say, it's absolutely fantastic. Again, it's extremely funny, has some great music, and I am a big fan of musicals. Just the cast, the lineup in this is just superb. Some of the funniest lines I've ever heard come out of these actors. It's a great, great film, and I would highly recommend everybody check it out. The second title I watched this week was Oscar's Greatest Moments, 1971 to 1991. Now, the strangest thing about this release is the fact that what we get here is a TV special that's not called Oscar's Greatest Moments. It has a completely different name, and it goes from 1970 to 1990, not 71 to 91. So where they get any of this information on the front here is beyond me. But they do a pretty good job of cramming all the greatest moments from the 1970 to 1990 in a 110-minute TV special. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen some segments more drawn out. I would have liked to have seen more segments in general, especially a lot more from Billy Crystal, since I am a huge Billy Crystal fan. But regardless, like I said, they do a pretty good job of cramming as much as they possibly can and all the greatest moments into this TV special. And it was definitely a good watch. But like I said, if you're not into the Oscars, there's no reason to watch it. But if you are a fan of the Oscars and you want to see its greatest moments, check this one out. The third title I watched this week was Annie Hall, the classic Annie Hall. And actually the reason why I wanted to watch this one is because in Oscar's Greatest Moments, they talk about this movie a lot. And I've actually never seen it. This is my first time watching this movie. I've had it in my collection for a little while now, and I'm finally getting around to checking it out. And it was great. It's a Woody Allen film. You just can't go wrong with Woody Allen movies. They're always absolutely superb. I love watching Diane Keaton, you know, playing this kind of neurotic character. Woody Allen playing his very typical neurotic character, but sort of neurotic in different ways, and then watch them kind of, you know, relate to each other, but at the same time clash heads. And with Diane Keaton's character kind of going Hollywood on Woody Allen and leaving him, and all the drama which that creates. It's just a great and well done movie. Obviously, I'm putting everything into a nutshell. Woody Allen movies tend to have kind of deeper meanings behind them, so if you want to get that, you should definitely watch the movie. And I cannot recommend this film enough. There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't check this one out, especially if you're a Woody Allen fan. The fourth title I watched this week was Kevin Smith, Too Fat for 40. Another great Kevin Smith, do I want to say stand-up special? Because, I mean, I know these tend to get roped in with stand-up, but the Kevin Smith specials aren't really stand-up. It's just Kevin Smith up on stage telling stories. Stories that do happen to be funny, but true life stories that actually happened in Kevin Smith's life. That's what he's telling. He's not telling jokes, so it's really not a stand-up special at all. But these are great. Kevin Smith tells some of the most craziest stories, things I can't believe actually happened to one man. Just insane stories this guy has. It's great to listen to him. I love watching these specials just to hear his fantastic stories. One of the things I love best about this one, though, is the fact that Kevin Smith starts off this special telling, you know, a little story, and then when he's done that story, he says, okay, now we're going to open it up to question and answers. He goes, I'm going to do these really quickly. As you guys know, I tend to ramble on a lot. Somebody will ask a question, and I'll talk for an hour on that one question. So I'm going to make these really short to try to get as many questions in as I possibly can. One guy asks a question, he spends an hour and a half talking about that one question asked. This entire special is all one question that has been asked. Nobody gets to ask anything else. I find that absolutely hilarious. Now there is a second disc on this release, and that does have some more question and answers. Apparently, after a special, he decided to open the floor up again to some more questions because only one guy actually got to ask anything during the filming of the special. So yes, if you watch the second disc, you will see some more questions asked and hear some more funny stories. So I would definitely recommend picking this up. If you just want to hear some insane, crazy stories from Kevin Smith's life, pick up any of the 4 Kevin Smith releases. They're absolutely fantastic. But if you haven't seen this one yet, definitely pick it up and check it out. The 5th title I watched this week was Super. And this I picked up and decided to check out all because of a recommendation from some of my viewers. A lot of you guys saw me pass this up on Blu-ray, I guess about a month ago when I was doing a Let's Go Shopping video. And a lot of you said I should have grabbed it. Well, unfortunately, the Blu-ray had gone up in price. The DVD was still $5, so I picked up the DVD and I immediately had to watch it because I love the lineup. And again, you guys said it was a good movie. And it definitely was. This movie was just balls to the wall, crazy, insanely violent too. And that's one of the things I love most about this. It definitely uses just overabundance of violence as comedy. I mean, people getting their heads smashed open with a pipe wrench, and one of our main characters getting their whole side of their face blown off. Crazy, insane things like that. I mean, this movie they don't PG it up at all. This movie just goes all out with the crazy, insane violence. It's also insanely funny as well. If you like things like Kick-Ass and The Defender, if you've seen those movies, you like them, but you want to see just an uber crazy violent version of those films, this is definitely one to check out. I would highly recommend it. If you like superhero films, Super is one you have to pick up and check out. The 6th title I watched this week was Gigantic. A mediocre indie film. Can't really say much more than that. It wasn't anything special. Was it enjoyable? Yes. But really it's just another kind of indie film that's just rather mediocre. Though for those of you who have seen this movie, I have one question. What is up with Zach Galifianakis, his character? I don't really get his character in this film. I read some reviews on it because I wanted to try to see what other people thought of his character, and a lot of people were saying, he was just kind of a cry for attention because apparently or at least what I got out of this film was he was imaginary. And a lot of people are saying he was imaginary because, again, he was a cry for attention. The guy was beating himself up and saying that a bum did it, played by Zach Galifianakis. I can see that. I get that, okay, but it just sort of felt out of place. I just didn't really get his character. I mean, even if that's what his character was supposed to be doing, it just kind of was like, all right, I don't really get it. The movie could have not had him in it, and it would have been fine. It wouldn't have made the movie bad or different or anything. Zach Galifianakis didn't need to be in this movie at all, and the movie would have been just the same, mediocre but decent independent film. So that's my only gripe is his character. The fact that he did not need to be in the film at all and really shouldn't have been, because the whole time I'm thinking, what is up with this guy? Every now and then he shows up and I just have no idea why the hell he's on screen. Really makes no sense, especially when he ends up kind of disappearing in the end. I don't really get that. But again, all in all, with the exception of the Zach Galifianakis character, it's a decent, mediocre indie film. Would I recommend it? If you like indie films, I would say yes. You can pick this one up for $3 at Big Lots. That's about all it's worth. You can get it for $3, pick it up, check it out. It was alright. Ironically, the 7th title I watched this week was the 7th season of Cheers. Another great season. I don't really have too much to say about this. If you like Cheers, you're definitely going to want to check out season 7. It was great. Though I would say this is a little bit more mediocre of a season in the sense that not anything too crazy happens. In fact, unfortunately, this doesn't even end on a cliffhanger. It just ends on a regular, ordinary episode. If I'm not mistaken, every season before this one ended on at least some kind of sort of cliffhanger that made you want to go into the next season. This one, no, it just ends on a regular episode. That really bummed me out. I was not expecting that at all. So I would say, again, kind of mediocre. Nothing too crazy happens in this season, but it was a good watch. If you like Cheers, why would you not want to watch this? The 8th title I watched this week was Roadie. And this was a movie I was really looking forward to checking out, but ended up being something completely different than what I thought it was going to be. I was expecting more of a kind of true life sort of story, maybe something like Almost Famous, not necessarily a true story, but maybe something that could have sort of been true, or maybe it's based off a true story. That's what I was expecting, something about some roadies. Instead, we get kind of this weird sort of trippy, you kind of compare it to like Blues Brothers, where Blues Brothers, you know, it's a fun, decent, you know, kind of road movie, but at the same time, there's a lot of really weird things that happens. Same thing, constantly some just strange, off-the-wall, crazy things happening in this movie. And it was certainly enjoyable. I would say if you like movies like Blues Brothers, you're going to like Roadie. It was definitely a decent film, though I wouldn't say it's as good as Blues Brothers. No, Blues Brothers is fantastic. It's an amazing movie all by itself. But if you like those type of movies that's kind of weird, sort of crazy things happening all over the place, but still tell a really good story, then this is definitely one to check out. We get some great just cameos from people like Blondie, Alice Cooper, Roy Orbison, lots and lots of really good musical cameos in this movie. It also has a fantastic soundtrack. That is definitely something I need to pick up real soon. Meatloaf was great in it too. Meatloaf plays our main character. He was fantastic. I actually like when Meatloaf acts. I think he's not a great actor, but a decent actor, and I tend to really like him in his roles. No exception here. He was great in it. So Roadie, I would actually recommend this one. And the final and ninth title I watched this week was The Art of Action: Martial Arts in the Movies. A pretty decent documentary all about martial arts in films, where it began and kind of where it is now, kind of up to the, I see around sort of the Charlie's Angels sort of era. Doesn't really go much past that. They do talk about like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Mission Impossible 2. You know, so all around that time, a decent documentary. Not anything really bad. Nothing too bad anyway to say about it. Although I would say the worst part of this is actually Samuel L. Jackson, and I don't say that very often. I'm a big fan of Samuel L. Jackson. Love him, but as we all know, he can ham it up sometimes. And he definitely hams it up in this. I was laughing so hard at times during this documentary when Samuel Jackson would come on screen and do something, because he was just going apeshit sometimes and definitely being a bit of a nutcase during this documentary. But hey, it's Samuel Jackson. It's kind of to be expected at times. But regardless, besides the fact that you're going to be laughing a few times, it is a good watch. If you like martial arts, if you kind of want to learn the history of martial arts films, and again, from the very beginnings of martial arts in movies up until somewhat more recent times, this is definitely one to check out. Not much more to say about it than that, but it was a good watch. So there you go, guys. That's it for everything I watched this week. Definitely watched some great titles. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to see what I watch next week. See ya.